amount of GHG reduction, and it's high on TRL. Immediate scalable solutions, the FAME and HVO versions of the biofuels can easily be uh, used on the existing machineries and the setup. So government of India already have a national biofuel policy, which is quite aligned to the policy discussions. And I think the only requirement there is to implement or to streamline the implementation of the same. The challenge with biofuel is that the feedstock is limited, and mostly the feedstock is being imported currently, which makes the cost of the feedstock high. Uh, uh, so the clear action item is there to reduce import duties on the feedstock and impose levies on the export of the biofuel. Uh, uh, so a committee has been set up by the government already, which is called NBCC, and this is set up to coordinate the import-export balance to ensure that the country has enough biofuels for its own use. There's also a concerted effort by government to develop domestic feedstocks, and the policy has got directives to help and build on those domestic feedstocks as well. The other option which came out in the discussion was to promote the use of biogas and the bio LNG. Again, these fuels are very high on TRL, and abundant feedstock is available in the form of municipal waste and agri-waste. The challenge is on the aggregation and liquefaction of these biomass. So the government already has policies to incentivize the compressed biogas, but the biogas-based electricity generation. But this needs to be extended to the production of biogas as a feedstock for the generation of bio LNG. And the government also needs to incentivize and provide a mechanism to streamline the aggregation of biomass, which is the biggest challenge in India. Methanol also came out as a possible solution for the 2030 transition targets that we have. Again, it's easy adoption as the TRL is high. The challenge is that the bunkering infrastructure is still underdeveloped, and we do not have rules and standards which are matured enough to be globally accepted and followed. Again, the requirement here is to have a holistic demand-supply assessment and baselining of the target based on methanol as a fuel. This would give the bunker providers the confidence to make those investment and be confident of the uptake on those fuels. Uh, since these are high capex investment, obviously variable gap financing and funding from government would be required, and this could be done through the dedicated maritime fund or through the PPP models in collaboration with the private partners. Uh, the class societies needs to be encouraged to set up the bunker rules and standard and get a global alignment on those rules. The last one which came out was around e-fuels. So obviously has sufficient renewable energy, but there's uncertainty with specific technology needs. Uh, so we need to have a gradual ramp up of the fuel blending in line with the supply constraints. Uh, the class rules, the bunker standards, and the prospective rules and the life cycle assessment are some of the actions that needs to be taken to make sure that e-fuels are also ready to support us on the decarbonization target. Moving on, the third session, which was on green ports, shore power, JIT, green corridor. The key solutions that came out from that session was around green corridors. So there's a need to have a concerted effort to identify and mobilize the value chain players across the country to come together to agree on a green corridor. This obviously needs Government of India to take a lead, and in collaboration of industry bodies can spearhead the identification of possible corridors and use its bilateral and multilateral international relationships to formalize those corridors. There's also need to harmonize system and use of digital solutions because that will be critical to make sure there's a seamless.
Pranav, I think you can just brush on the things and go ahead.
Sure. So the other one was around just-in-time and port efficiency. So the challenge which came out was the port design and berthing schedule needs to be more optimized, and there should be a better optimized operation between small vessel and the port. The solution around that was to have more efficient design and master plan and effective collaboration across the partners so that the operation is more seamless. Digitalization also came out as a need to have a better port efficiency and the use of CII regulation as a means to ensure that the port are efficient because it then affects the ships berthing at those ports. There's a need to have a national action plan to develop the JIT further, which could be in the form of penalty systems, which could take a track of the delay and put penalty basis the delay at the port. Shore power came out as a very feasible solution, and India has a less overall, less cost. The supply, the shore supply average cost is less compared to global economies. So that was a positive, but there are challenges on operational front. Different power tariff across the states is a challenge. And the government needs to step in here and collaborate with the state governments to ensure that there's a standardized tariff and taxes across all ports. The other issue around shore ports was the license to distribute the power. Currently, the two ports have the license to distribute the power, and the policy is still not very favorable.
Pranav, we are running short of time, sir, has to go. So I think, what is the next one?
Next one is around green ships and green technology solutions. So what I'll do, I'll quickly run through the solutions without getting into the details. So one solution that came out was we need to have more efficient new builds, which could be through efficiency in design, efficiency in production processes, and indigenization of the ancillary equipments. The other one was that India could very well be pitched as global ship design hub. We can develop the skill set to be a global ship design hub through knowledge transfer. The solution to new build with hybrid technologies and technologies offering. Hello. Yeah. The other solution was to have hybrid new builds with hybrid technology. And the technologies which could offer.
Enough, I think we will end now. I think we have the report. We will go through it carefully. Please come. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, Anil, thank you for the report. I think there are a lot of things, again, we have to go in detail. But just for the sake of conclusion, so if you are targeting for the 2030, what could be our priorities? Can you just suggest something? 2030.
Okay. So
the mic close.
The things that came out clearly was that there are few avenues which could help reach those targets easily. So the one is to have the biofuel as a transition fuel, because we have a high TRL on that, and it does not need much investment to get the decarbonization benefits. LNG could continue to be a transition fuel for the 2030 target, again, for the same reasons. The methane slip issue can be easily targeted, and we have got good advancement in technologies recently. The other low-hanging fruit is obviously since port infrastructure and port-related infra contributes majorly to the GHG emission, we can optimize the operations on that front. We can have JIT and use of digitalization that could easily help us achieve the 2030 targets. So these are the few ones that comes to my mind directly.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know there are a lot of things to be discussed, and I think we will take it forward, whatever the recommendations are there, how far we will be able to come into the regulatory scenario or other policy scenarios. In the coming sessions, we'll be, I think the policy makers will be debating on that. With this, I think we are concluding our session because of the paucity of the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sukumaran sir. We are trying to get the tea and coffee served here, so interesting sessions, and we don't want to break up now, and we're a little loss of time. So for the next session now, can I request Mr. S.M. Rai, the past president, past chairman of the Mumbai branch, IMEI. Sorry.